Greetings. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Death, Taxes, and Sports podcast. We're excited to bring you episode 135 here today, and my lighting still looks trash, but it's all good. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Hopefully you can see me. We are here to bring you my fellow Johnson Wales alumni, Ben Holloway, and we have Marisa Tigney. She is back from traveling the world, going to Switzerland and Spain and eating all the croissants and all that good stuff. But how are y'all doing? And welcome back, Tigney.
I'm doing good. Thank you. It's good to be back. Good to chop it up with you guys here on the show and instead of via text. So I know that we have a lot that we're going to dive into tonight.
Oh, no doubt. And I'm excited for you to say how you really feel on one of my not-so-favorite players, but we'll get to that in a second. But Ben, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Always excited to talk sports with y'all.
No doubt. So tonight we're going to discuss a little bit of NBA Finals, some young NFL QBs that are up for some cash extensions, and this very interesting Stanley Cup. But we first want to start off with some recent news, Tigney, where we have a bunch of delusional fans who have never watched a WNBA game, let alone even bought merchandise, all of a sudden are experts on how the whole Team USA selection process is. But you know what? I'm just going to give you the floor. I'm not going to say her name. I will allow for you to say her name and say how you really feel, because I'm excited.
Hello, everyone, and everybody that's watching the show, the Texas Sportcast fans around the world. We appreciate you coming in. It's a segment of Tigney Talks. Well, I have a subject that I'm going to bring up. I'm going to talk about it, and then these guys, as well as everybody that's watching the show, is going to chime in. And as Jeff said, one of his favorite players that I'm going to talk about, he's so excited about this segment. But first, let me start with this, ladies and gentlemen. It takes us, myself and Ben, and Gary and Jeff, we have regular jobs. We have been at those regular jobs for a while. In order for us to get raises, bonuses, promotions, we have to put the time in, the training, the correct techniques to do our job and make them be effective. In order for the women's Olympic roster of 2024, the committee looked at who was going to be the players that's going to go and not only represent the United States of America, but also go and get another gold medal and cement the legacy again for women's basketball. Many people had looked upon this roster when the names were released. Asia Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Brittany Griner, Diana Taurasi, Naprisa Collier, Jackie Young, Brianna Stewart, Kelsey Plum, Jewel Lloyd, Chelsea Gray, Alyssa Thomas, and Kalia Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the roster for the 2024 United States Women's Olympics team that will be representing Paris this summer in less than 2 months. A name that is not on this list, ladies and gentlemen, is Indiana Fever rookie Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is talented. She is a very good athlete. She broke a lot of records while she was at the University of Iowa. She was the number 1 draft pick in the WNBA. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the names that I said upon this roster, and I will say it and I will scream it from the mountaintops, is the correct selection that is going to represent the United States of America on this women's Olympics team. Caitlin Clark will have her chance. She will have her opportunity, but her opportunity is not right now. She's 22 years old, a rookie, and right now, with all due respect, the Indiana Fever got blew out the other night by the Connecticut Sun and sits second to last place with a 3-10 record. Okay. She is, again, as I said, she's very talented. She's going to have her opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of things from this whole entire conversation that will not simmer down and probably will not simmer down until the opening ceremony of the Olympics, where once again, she will not be part of. And side note, if Chelsea Gray, who has had a lower leg injury from when she was that she had since last season when the Las Vegas Aces won their second straight WNBA title and still has not played this season. If she is unable to go, I'm sorry, Caitlin Clark fans. I don't see them picking Caitlin Clark. I probably will think that they will go with Arika Agumbawale from the Dallas Wings or someone else of that nature. But let me make this point real quick, and I want you gentlemen to chime in. The media and the fans having an uproar, and what Jeff said is so key. You got fans, brand new fans that have never paid attention, not one iota of a WNBA game that has been in existence for 27 seasons. Some of y'all can't even name the top 5. Who has the record of what? How many Olympics that Diana Taurasi has been in? Mind you, this will be her 6th one. Okay. You couldn't even tell me who the last 4 people were that won their title and who was the MVP of those championship games. But yet we want to go, and with all due respect to Stephen A. Smith and with all due respect to longtime columnist Christine Brennan, absolutely incorrect that nobody is going to pay attention to this team during the summertime, during the Olympics. The committee got it right because it isn't about popularity. Caitlin Clark will probably is the name that is all about marketing and will put the booties in the seats. This team that I said is the team that's going to bring home the gold medal. It's already done. It's already a wrap. Why? 1, they're experienced. 2, it is a process to get on this team. It isn't just because you were the number 1 draft pick and you all of a sudden will get plucked into the opportunity of a lifetime and be put onto this roster. There is a process where you have to go to training camp and you have to go literally just like the NBA combine, and you go and you perform, if you will, before every single person that is on the committee to put the best of the best together to represent the United States of America. While, again, she is talented in her own right now is not her time. And people are losing their mind about it, saying that it is unjust and unfair for the Committee of the United States Olympic Committee to not have her on there. They did nothing wrong. And baby, if you are not part of this committee and you are upset about it, then I suggest that you just go get yourself a jet ski, get yourself a blow pop, and go and just unwind and get yourself a therapist, because it's not going to change. They got it correct. This is the team that's going to represent. And guess what? Super side note before you two jump in, Caitlin is okay with this. She quoted saying that she's going to root for this team. She's excited for these ladies, that she is going to work hard for an opportunity the next 4 years down the road, and hopefully her name is called. But why does the media and the Caitlin Clark fans and the haters and the pretenders and the wannabe contenders want to have a whole entire show about bashing everybody that does not support this girl? I have no idea. She's fine with it. She wants to move on and try to help salvage some of the season that the Indiana Fever has left. But let's take this energy that has been just overly exhausting and overplayed on every platform, on television and on streaming and on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook and on X, about all of this, and put the support behind these ladies that are going to represent the United States of America. Can we do that, please?
Preach. Very well said. Very well said. I mean, it's like you read my mind. I swear we're related. Ben?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Stephen A. Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp were 1,000% wrong.
Get loud, Ben. Let's do it. Ben, get loud now.
And what did they say, Ben? Summarize it.
And Shanae, I'm not going to attempt her last name.
Shanae, okay.
Her and Andrea Carter were there and trying to debate with Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp, but their issue was Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp were about the marketing, about the buzz, about this. And I 1,000% agree with you. Would her being on the team generate a little bit more ratings? Probably. Sure. But it's the Olympics, people. People are going to watch. It's the Olympics. It's once every 4 years. People who love the Olympics watch the Olympics. It doesn't matter who's there and who's not. The Olympics there's a fan base of people that watch the Olympics, and that's the extent of sports they watch. Those people are still going to tune in whether she's there or not.
Correct.
And Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. were basically saying that USA basketball is missing a marketing opportunity because Caitlin Clark is, set all, is one of the reasons that the attendance is up and the jersey sales are up and the ratings are up. It's like, okay, great. So that's going to continue in the WNBA, which is then going to lead to more and more attention to the WNBA, which is better for the WNBA compared to having this be a storyline in all Olympics. Because all it would be is she would generate the interviews would be, hey, Caitlin, how are you doing? How are you happy? You only played 5 minutes last game. All the attention in the Olympics, if she was on the team, all the interviews would be her. All the attention would be her. And that's not good for the women's game overall. It's just not. And to your point, Marisa, this is a really, really talented roster that's going to go to Paris and win gold again, which is what they do. And Caitlin Clark not being on the team is fine. She's young. 4 years from now, she'll
fine with it.
Team.
Right.
She'll be on the team in 4 years. It's not that big of a deal, people. And it's not. This whole marketing thing is driving me crazy because it's not. You don't. To be honest, you don't really need to market the Olympics. People watch. People love the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
The people who love the Olympics will watch the Olympics. Doesn't matter, Asian, white, black, ladies, doesn't matter. Those people who love the Olympics will always watch the Olympics. So it's just not. Would Caitlin Clark being there generate a little bit more ratings? I would say yes. I don't think it would be that significant, to be honest. And let her generate the ratings she's generating in the WNBA. Let her and the league go with that success and focus on that.
The beautiful thing about all of this, Ben, and I'll say this real quick, Jeff, and I'm sorry, is that we are seeing the amount of conversation increase for the first time ever for the WNBA. Because let's be 100% completely honest, and I'm saying this because I'm as a big supporter in women's sports, I am. But again, Ben, as you have stated, it again is about the marketing thing. It took 20 plus seasons to get it somewhat right. And with every outlet talking about this, with Caitlin Clark, the media golden goose, if you will, that is, pretty much dang if she do, dang if she don't, when it comes to, her having a 30-piece against the winless Washington Mystics. And then the other day they get blown out by the Connecticut Sun and she only scores 10. It's that balance. But the thing is, out of all of this, we're seeing arenas getting sold out. We're seeing jersey sales increase. We're seeing tickets getting increased. The game that myself and my husband went to when it was the debut of the Chicago Sky and the Dallas Wings, it was so great to see that it was packed. There wasn't a seat available. So all of that energy and all of these ratings and all of this talk and everything else pretty much is like, I see it as free marketing. And I want the conversation to continue. I want the energy to be there. I want people to just continue to talk about this, not just for the sheer fact that Caitlin Clark and Cameron Brink and Angel Reese and Camila Cardozo and all these players, Alyssa Peely, came out in this first round, and this everybody was hyped about this draft class. I want, once this season ends, I want the energy to catapult to another level. See, not just because this season is going to be done with, the freshman season, their first year is going to be done with. What's going to happen afterwards, after the season's done, after these women win the gold medal? After all is said and done, and probably the Las Vegas Aces, are they going to be a three-peat? Can the Chicago Sky go in and disrupt it? The LA Sparks are starting to cook now. Dallas Wings are somewhat trying to figure it out. The Connecticut Sun only has lost one game, and that was to the New York Liberty, which, by the way, they're starting to cook. So it's just so many layers there. My thing is this energy and all this conversation, as Monica McNutt beautifully called out Stephen A. and left him speechless and pissed at the same time. I want this conversation to hopefully continue to accelerate and filter on into the next season and beyond. Hello, Gary.
Hey Gary, and I know you want to get in this, but I just want to put people by the numbers because I think stats are important. And Ben, I know you are the stats guy and all of this, but obviously I have. Let's put this by the numbers. Caitlin Clark is averaging 32.6 minutes per game, averaging 16 points per game, 4.9 rebounds, 6 assists, but to 5 turnovers per game. Okay. She is leading the league among rookies, and she has one of the worst plus minuses in the WNBA. She leads her team in field goal attempts. She's shooting under 40% from there. She's shooting only 33% from three, and they have one of the worst records in the league. But yet she's supposed to be the best player, but yet is literally shooting her team out of games.
Asia Wilson.
And
not even close.
She is turning over the ball at a very high rate, and she doesn't have the type of athleticism that a Candace Parker had back in 2008 when she was a rookie. This goes into my biggest issue when it comes to the delusional Caitlin Clark fans, where they are selective in certain stats versus others. If she had went out and they had a winning record and she was efficient with scoring, then okay, maybe. But to say that she is worthy over Arika
Wumagale,
what you said, I always butcher her name, who's averaging 27 points per game and their team has a better record. If we're looking at things from a basketball perspective, she hasn't done anything to deserve it. And there are other players that are more deserving. These fans are delusional. They've never attended a game. Folks, I've attended probably well over 70 WNBA games in my life. We've all covered the WNBA in some way, shape, or form for years, so we understand how the game has grown. There are plenty of other women, and I've said this from the very beginning, there is an agenda by the media to prop up Caitlin Clark in a way that is just so egregious and just so despicable that it actually makes me sick. When you look at some of the photos of how they are associating Caitlin Clark, whenever they lose, they never put Caitlin Clark in the photo. But you notice whenever there's losses, Lee Boston is in those photos. When you look at the people who are saying the type of coaches, they're trying to insinuate that Dawn Staley's a racist all of a sudden, and she doesn't want Caitlin Clark on the team. It's just the level of delusion. She hasn't earned it. Maybe she can earn it in 4 years. But there's even another woman who's on that team that played for the 3-on-3 team last summer and represented Team USA. So she has some international experience over Caitlin Clark. There are players that are more deserving, but I'm just going to be honest. And Ben, I said I was going to be nice, but I'm sorry. I got to say it. It is a ploy to prop her up as the next great hope and disrespecting all of the other players who came before her. Breanna Stewart is the best college player in college basketball history. I don't care what anyone else says. 4 straight national titles, was the best player on all those national title teams. Led her teams in assists, rebounds, blocks, points, all 4 years. Don't believe me? You can look it up. Caitlin Clark, I'm just saying. But I know we've been talking about this for 20 minutes, but Gary, we'll get you in this, and then we'll keep this thing rolling, and then we'll give this for like another 2-3 more minutes. But Gary, your thoughts, and welcome back, sir.
Yes, hello everybody. Jumping on the spirited conversation here, but like the reality of it is the WNBA is desperate to leave their imprint in the sports society, in the sports fabric. In doing so, they've allowed this player who, yes, has statistically fared well in college. You said it best, Jeff. The great hype and everything, and the next coming, and this, that, and the third. They just wanted their imprint, and they said almost like, "Damn, what the ramifications of this is." Oh, Caitlin Clark will figure it out. You know, the marketing machine will figure it out. There's so much. Yeah, the look at the Coliseum. The streets are on fire, but look at this Coliseum here. Like, there's a lot of that's going on here. I think when you look at the Indiana Fever, there's a reason they were in position to get her with the number 1 pick. They weren't good last year. they're not much better this year. And Caitlin Clark or not, they were never going to take that jump to, they're going to have the best record and they're going to be up there immediately with Las Vegas and New York and Connecticut and Chicago. It's like, no. If I may have to look, I don't have the number in front of me. Did they not win like 5 games last season or something like that? Like, it was a very low number.
I believe it was 5, and right now it's only 3.
So, folks, let's temper the expectations. Now, do I think that Caitlin Clark will eventually figure the league out and become more of an impactful player and have more of a force and be worthy of the hype? Sure, because the balance is going to work itself out that way, one way or the other. That's just kind of how sports work. But I think the hype train is kind of going off the tracks and is out of control at this point.
But why is that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off here.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying though that we're going to move on though. But let's just call a spade a spade. We try not to get into politics on here, but I'm just going to say it. The reason why there is because she's a white, straight woman. Okay, like that's what it is. This league has been dominated year in and year out by Black women athletes, and they are hyping her up because they see her as a beacon of hope that they can still be viable within the game of basketball. I'm sorry.
They're rolling over her.
Let's just call it what it is.
They're rolling over her accomplishments that she did in college. And majority of those fans are stuck in the college celebratory moment when instead of them seeing her now in this first year, and they're doing everything that they can to not, they won 13 games. So they're trying to see her, they're not used to seeing her struggle. That's the problem with some of these fans. Is they're not used to her seeing her struggle and getting, bumps and bruises, and these women pushing her around and, having a game where she's got a 30-piece and then all of a sudden has a 3-piece and then a 10-piece and then more turnovers in the bakery on the court. Like, they're not used to seeing that. They're still stuck in, she broke the NCAA record. She broke this record, that record. They were one of the main reasons why the Big Ten women's tournament was sold out, and her name just kept coming up. So they're stuck in that warp, and seeing her struggle, they don't want to accept the fact that she's going to have to adjust into the big women's league. This is a big women's league, and they're not going to be soft on nobody. And she's even said that herself, that she doesn't want them to take it easy on her. But some of these fans, it goes in one year, y'all, and it goes out the other.
They're not fans. They live in a world of delusion. I'm sorry. I said I was going to be nice, but okay.
No, you're being honest. You're being honest. That's what this show is all about.
I mean, but it's just, and Ben, I promise we move on. All I'm saying is that, it just shows a level of ignorance when it comes to the bigger picture of sports, where they're again, we are sports fans first. Historians of sports first, which is why we have a show, versus just being a fan. And when it comes to the context of college basketball or going into the WNBA, there are fewer teams, fewer players retiring. Thus, this is the best of the best versus the NBA, where it's kind of watered down. Literally 1 through 12 is literally the best of the best people.
Yeah, there you go.
And she's struggling. So we will get off of that. Ben, I know do you have any other comments before we move on to NBA, or Gary?
I just want to point out they're 3-10 now. She is 2 losses away from matching the number of total losses that she had in her last 2 seasons at Iowa.
Woo!
There it is.
Hey, facts.
I just want to point just to have that out there.
Ben, any thoughts, and then we'll move on to NBA.
I'll just say, there will always be delusional fans, and there's no curing those delusional fans. I mean,
fans in quote.
It's just a different type of
delusional fans that love drama. Let's just finish out all that. Delusional fans that love drama.
Yes. And it's short for fanatic.
All right.
At the end of the day.
Yep.
And Angel Reese, put some respect on her name. She is the best rookie. And
she'll be in the Olympics too. Make no mistake about it.
Can't wait. All right, Ben, let's get to it. NBA Finals, guys. So I'm going to throw the question to you first, Ben. So we have some questions, but we're going to do the biggest reason for why the Celtics are up 2-0 and then let's keep this thing going. Your thoughts, Ben?
Kyrie Irving. They're just gonna call it straight. The Celtics have the better roster. Everybody who knew anything about basketball going into the series would say the Celtics have the better roster because they do. So for the Mavericks to win, they need their stars to be stars. And Kyrie Irving has 28 points total in 2 games. And we know his shooting, 13 for 37 and 0 for 8 from 3. But they need, in order for the Mavericks to win this series, to get back into this series, their 2 stars have to be stars. I don't think they can win a game in this series if Luka and Kyrie don't combine for 50 or more. Like, they're capable of combining for 70 or more. Mm-hmm. They need to score 50 or more points. It's not even close. They probably need to get closer to 60 because, the Dallas, their roster isn't as good, and they need the stars to be stars. And hopefully Kyrie can, get out of this state that he's in, which could be, being in Boston, which I thought, he's more mature now. He's a different person. So I really didn't think Boston fans would get to him, but pretty sure they did. So hopefully if he has a couple of good games, maybe he can go back to Boston and perform better. But I also think the first quarter tomorrow night is the biggest quarter of the Mavericks season so far. They need to make a statement, and I think Kyrie himself needs to make a statement. We've seen Kyrie have 15-point first quarters, 20-point first quarters. He's capable of it. And frankly, I think he needs to have a big first quarter, and the Mavericks do as well. I really think that as of right now, their most important quarter of their entire season is the first quarter tomorrow night. And but yeah, I think Kyrie being, let's just call it what it is, he's been, compared to his skill level, he's been awful. And that's a big reason they're down 0-2.
Yeah, and Gary, I think I said that the magic number for both Luka and Kyrie need to be is 30. They both need to score 30. They both need to be efficient, and the supporting cast need to do just enough. For Boston, Tatum could play a very bad game, but because they have 3 other really good 3-and-D players, I think that's made the difference. But your thoughts, Gary, and then Tigney, feel free to jump on in here.
I think, you make a good point there. I think also this series is a bit of a bunch of Jedi mind tricks in the sense of Kyrie with the Jedi mind trick of if I antagonize them, then they'll make me play better and I'll be on top of my game. And no, that hasn't worked thus far. And you look at, we've talked about, Jason Tatum must be the best player in the finals and this, that, and the third. And he has been, but he hasn't had to put up the gaudy numbers. He's been putting up, I believe, through 2 games is 17, 10, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that for 4 games and win a championship. That's good business there. Those are numbers. If you look at Larry Bird's numbers from like the 81 finals or earlier finals, he didn't put up gaudy numbers. He just put up stats. He put up the points, the rebounds, and the boards, but he didn't have to put up a 50-point game to get the job done. He had enough players around him that could score at a high level, and that's what Boston is doing. On the flip side of that, too, speaking of the defensive strategy, they decided they're going to let Luka be Luka. Have your triple doubles, have your 30-point games, have whatever. Like game 1, you had 1 assist. Game 2, yes, you had the triple double, but how effective? Like it was the most ineffective triple double I've seen in quite some time. Like there's
3 points. Sorry, Gary, but 3 points in the fourth quarter.
Right, like there. It's a beautiful stat line, but it means nothing because they're playing the. It's almost like the early '90s Jordan defense. Like let Jordan score. Let's see if Scottie Pippen wins the game for them. Let's see if Horace Grant wins the game for them. And back in the day, it didn't work out for them, and it's not working out for Dallas now.
Yeah, Tigney, I think, and Gary, to your point, like Tigney, I think the thing that's really that I just think that just because like Lively coming off the bench has been good from a matchup perspective against Minnesota because he's a big, but I don't think that's necessarily as much of an advantage in this series against Boston. Am I making sense, or what do you think in general?
How in the world do you all allow a player that has missed 38 games to school you in the paint? Like, he literally picked up where he left off 38 games ago, and now it's possible that to play game 3, and that's Kristaps Porzingis. That just blew my mind how good he played on Monday, and we were talking about this in our text, how just no one could make the easy shot in the paint. No one could defend him because he was just pumping threes like nobody's business. And I'm like, well, look at the fragile unicorn just all of a sudden just come out of here and just expose everybody in the starting 5.
Marisa, I just want to add one thing quick. He was cooking and he was playing great, but you notice he wasn't going against their 2 centers.
Oh, no, not at all.
All those points were on smaller guys.
All of them. Smaller guys.
It's just a credit to Boston and a credit to him.
And pause. Derek Jones and Patrick Washington, where are you at? 1 of 5 is unacceptable to me, Derek Jones. 1 of 8 is very unacceptable, Mr. Stand on Business, Patrick or PJ Washington. Where are you at? I know majority of the conversation is going to put the weight on Kyrie, but the supporting cast has got to show up. When you look at the stats of everyone that is supposed to be the starting lineup, and then you look at the bench versus the bench of Boston, like literally, and then game 2, Drew Holiday. I know the Milwaukee Bucks is punching all sorts of air right now, getting rid of him. Yep. Drew Holiday just went off. We knew that he could like steal and he could take away and he could do the easy takeaways. We knew he could rebound, but God Almighty, he had himself a game. Porzingis pretty much owned game 1, and then he was like, you know what, Drew, do what you do. And he was like, all right, brother, bet. And just went on game 2. And it looked like that the Mavs were going to be in it. But the Mavs only played 2.5, maybe 3. I'll say 2.5. I'm being generous when I say 3. Because the first half, the first quarter, they looked like road warrior Luka Doncic was coming out. And then, little pocket shades of an improvement from Kyrie was going to happen. And then everybody else stalled. And Kyrie was, and Luka was just basically out in open water with just like floaties, like, hello, is anybody going to come rescue me? Mm-hmm. And that cannot happen in game 3.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. I was just saying, like, Ben, like, I think you and I are kind of in the same wavelengths, and Tiffany, you're kind of having my thought jogging here. We're going to move on to this next question. I'm going to throw it to you, Gary. But Ben, like, I had said the Mavericks, I thought we're going to win this series in 6, because I thought that Kyrie and Luka were just going to be just so good offensively that no one's going to be able to stop them, and I just didn't trust Boston. But I think the turning point for Boston, Ben, and I'll ask you this question, then Gary will get you in here, is do we feel that the series against Indianapolis kind of, if they didn't go through some of the trials and tribulations, do we think that this team probably wouldn't be playing with the same level of urgency versus kind of before? Do you feel that their sense of urgency kind of shifted, Ben?
Oh, it was arguably like the hardest sweep in history. Them games were close. Mm-hmm. Them games were real close. And Indiana played a role in, gagging away a little bit. But to Boston's credit, they still got to take advantage, and they did. But playing those close games, even though it was a sweep, 3 out of the 4 games were last 5 minutes within 5 points, 3 out of the 4. Playing those close games, I think, gave the Celtics a little bit of confidence that, because in the regular season, they were not good in the clutch. No, they were like in the bottom 10 in clutch moments, which for the listeners now or when they listen to it tomorrow, last 5 minutes of a game, the game within 5 points. That's how the NBA defines clutch. And the Celtics were literally bottom 10 in the regular season. Yeah. And I think their success against Indiana definitely vaulted them with some confidence. And, I mean, How couldn't it? Of course, that's going to give a team confidence to succeed in the biggest, most pivotal moments, and it definitely vaulted them some confidence to go into this series for sure.
Definitely, Gary. Let's throw this question to you. So finish a sentence and then take me. The Mavericks tie this series at 2 if blank.
Well, first of all, it's hard for me to answer this question because I did go on record saying Celtics in 5, but I'm gonna play along anyway.
Log off.
Listen, I said after game 1, I said Celtics. I was on this program last week. Said Celtics in 5.
We put 20 on that too, I believe, right?
Yeah, and after game 1, it was looking real good, and after game 2, it's looking even better. So I'm going to go ahead and play along, though. The Mavericks can tie the series at 2 if Porzingis is out both games.
He's not playing for the rest of the series, dog. You see the injury? He has a torn something. He's done. He's not coming back. I don't care what
torn meniscus.
Yeah, he ain't coming back. He's done. So that's done.
That's why I call him the glass unicorn.
All right, so let's rewind my statement. I retract that. They can tie the series at 2 if Kyrie Irving goes off. He's going to have to give you at least a 40-burger in one of these 2 games at home. I'm sorry. Like he's going to have to show you why he is who he is, or why he believes he is who he is and is worthy of all the praise amongst all the headache. Like he has to alleviate some of this off of Luka, because Luka's hanging on as best he can, but physically you can see it. He's lumbering. It has to be Kyrie. He has to be the leader. And I know you mentioned, Derek Jones Jr. and PJ Washington and them having to step forward, but at the end of the day, Kyrie's mouth got them into an 0-2 hole. So,
okay, facts. Tigney?
I look at this game that was game 2, and 3 people came off of the bench for the Boston Celtics with a combined total of points of 17. 5 players came off of the bench for the Mavericks, and they scored 9 points collectively. That's a problem. Maxi Kleber was in for 16 minutes, not 1 point scored. I mean, Derek Lively, it just 2 points. It has to be, for me, the Mavericks have to tie this up. And yes, again, and Gary put it brilliantly, that Kyrie has to be the key contributor, because Luka, we're all seeing always on the bottom of the ticker that he's questionable. Knee injury, chest injury, leg injury, every injury, literally just 1 game away for us bubble wrapping him and just putting him into somewhere where it could pretty much just heal his body. But these guys, as I mentioned, PJ Washington and Goddard and Derek Lively, the team has to help him out. They have to help him out, and right now it's not happening. Yes, the shell shock of Porzingis basically bullying the smaller guys in game 1. We're not going to see him, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jeff. We're not going to see him, I believe, as well. We won't see him game 3, game 4, maybe a 5-minute sighting if it does happen. But the backup needs to help when need be. If Kyrie is struggling, if Luka is struggling, who is going to be that guy that's going to be the one that says, okay, I got your back. I'm going to make things happen. I'm going to make sure that, we get these key plays, that we're going to, get everybody else involved. They don't have that right now. And it needs to happen, or else this is going to be where all the Boston fans are going to pull out some brand new brooms and start sweeping, because that's what it's looking like right now.
Facts. Agree with both of you. Porzingis down goes Porzingis. Ben, your thoughts?
So Mavericks tie this series at 2 if Kyrie plays better, number 1, and number 2, they start hitting threes. And especially, this stat is insane, but it's accurate. On wide open threes, which means there's no one within 6 feet of you, or more than that. So literally wide open. The Mavericks are 6 for 24. That ain't gonna get it done. So they need both Kyrie to play better, because they do. And number two, they need to start hitting some of their threes. And I don't know if we want to go there next, but Jason Kidd's got a role in this, and I actually want to go in on him a little bit.
Start with it.
I know that with Kidd, he's a great coach, and going into the series, we would say the Mavericks had the edge at coaching. Most people would. But so far, Jason Kidd, you're playing dudes that got you here, or in the past got you here, but are currently giving you absolutely nothing. Maxi Kleber, he's been a net negative every second he's been on the court.
Since that injury.
He has not, exactly. And he's not 100%. He doesn't trust his shot, and so it's not really his fault. But Jason Kidd, like, he should literally not play the rest of the series. Like, he is doing absolutely nothing to help you win, and is actually hurting you because, as someone pointed out, he's not good defensively. He's there to make shots and space the floor. And if he ain't doing that, he's giving you nothing. And right now he's giving you nothing at all. And there's another dude that is capable of scoring and has scored many 20-point games, including in playoff games, who hasn't played a minute yet, and that's Tim Hardaway Jr. And there's just no argument to be made that Kleber should be playing and Hardaway shouldn't. And it's like Kidd is relying on what got them there in the past, because Kleber didn't really help them get there, but he's had success in the playoffs in the past. We have to give him credit. But so you're relying on the past, but that's not the present. That's not right now. Mm-hmm. And this is the last series. This is the championship round. You need to make tough decisions. And there are certain guys, Kleber is one that stands out, that is hurting your chances to win, and he's still giving them 20, 25 minutes. No, he should not play unless he starts hitting threes. Maybe give him 5 minutes in game 3. And if he's hitting shots, okay, we can keep you in. If not, get comfortable on the bench, because this is a championship. You need dudes that are going to help you win, and not dudes who are hurting you. Kleber is hurting them.
And just real quick, and Tigney, I definitely want to get your thoughts on this. Look, Dallas was a 5th seed in the West for a reason, right? No one expected them to make it to the finals. When you look at things from a matchup, when you're thinking about things from a matchup perspective, I look at OKC. They were down, I think, 0-2 in that series. They came back because they were able to match the athleticism of OKC, and OKC wasn't a great three-point shooting team. When they played Minnesota, it was a benefit to them because they had the guard matchup. This is still a guard-oriented type of league. And I think that when they ran into Boston, they ran into a team that has really, 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 really good offensive guards that could beat you in a litany of different ways. And because your bigs and Lively and whatever his face is can't really score like that, it really hinders their ability to score outside of Kyrie and Luka. Tatum has played a terrible, terrible series. He has not played up to his potential, and I don't think he's going to be the Finals MVP. But you have guys like you have other guys like Derek White and Holiday. That's what Dallas doesn't have. So if I'm looking at them trying to be contender next season, they need to improve their bench play and their guards. They don't have that Bruce Brown. When your 6th man is a big and Derek Lively, problem. But
it is a problem, and the problem that the Mavs are also facing is that the Celtics, any one of them can shoot. Even old man Al Horford may not have a rock-solid game, but he will come and clutch at the right time. And he has, especially game 2. And that's what's wild about it. 37-year-old Al Horford, who wants to 31.
Al Horford is 137 years old.
What is he? 38, 39?
No, he's 137. That's
177. I mean,
he's 26 years old.
Yeah, he's right up there with. He might as well be a dinosaur, right?
Right. Let's round it up to the nearest whole number, 40. So
that's why I say this all hurts, because I just turned 36, so it's not like he's that far
let's
off.
Go. It's all right. It's all right.
It's
all good, Gary.
Gary, it's better than the alternative.
But the thing is, gentlemen, is that they have weapons that may not have the right, big games, big monster games, and their names are not in the spotlight. If Tatum is playing horribly, they got Porzingis game one. We saw it. If Porzingis can't play and Tatum's still having a bad game, then it's going to be split between Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday, which, sprinkles of Al Horford in between, and Peyton Pritchard randomly hitting threes to close out, the quarter. So Dallas needs to find a way immediately to have the guard play step up, as Jeff said. It has to be smart shots. Don't take the shots when you're not we got all the time on the clock, and you just run down there and think it literally you're not posted up, you're not wide open. Just don't. If you don't have the hot hand, and that's the problem with Dallas, it's all over the court and underneath the basket has been a problem for them. And the ones that we know that can shoot free throws have been struggling. Luka's been struggling. Kyrie's been struggling. Derrick Jones Jr. has been struggling. I'm just like, ain't nobody defending you, and you usually 70-some% from the with your free throw shooting, but you're missing. Donde está Dallas Mavericks? Where are you?
I know that we had some other questions, but just for the sake of time, I think we've already answered all of them. But here's what we'll do: we will go back to we'll go to
Mavs win game 3 in a close one.
Gary on the struggles of Tatum. You say what?
Mavs win in game 3 in a close one. I think what we just said, I think Kyrie realizes he needs to step up, and then every presser, I'm got the presser in the background right now. They're all live talking right now here in Dallas about them stepping up, about making smart plays. They just got done, talking to Kyrie and everything else, and being a key contributor and what his goal is going to do. I think he takes that to heart. Luka, finally will get somebody to support him. Brilliant that he put up a 30-piece in both games. But as you said, the turnover ratio and the free throw shots. Mm-hmm. I think that they get it together and they win game 3.
I think we're all in agreement. Yeah, I think game 3 goes to Dallas, and then we'll see what happens in game 4.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
I can't have this city be struggling. I've already heard a lot of Mavericks fans already just going to 24 to 48 hour depression.
They're not getting swept, and to avoid a sweep, you got to win one.
Yeah.
So we got.
They won't get swept. I believe wholeheartedly they will not get swept. But they just got to be smart when it comes to the shooting. The free throw shooting, the points in the paint, and the shooting the threes. They have to be smart about those.
First quarter game 3.
Will this be embarrassing for Dallas if they get swept, or do you give Luka a pass?
No, this will be embarrassing.
No pass. No pass.
But I'll say this. It's partial because, again, as you said, Jeff, they were not slated to make it this far. This was supposed to be the Boston Celtics and the up-and-coming young Minnesota Timberwolves. It was supposed to be their series. This was supposed to be the game. This was supposed to be the high ratings. This was supposed to be possibly all 7 games. And this was supposed to be a close battle between 2 guard play, incredible coaches. Joe Mazzulla, we talked about him on this show, how we were concerned about how he was going to, run this team after the whole Ime Udoka thing, and literally has just proved every one of us wrong about where they're at. And if the Celtics end up winning this championship, Mazzulla is basically just going to do a big old mic drop and just walk off the court with the whole "I told you so."
Yeah, he's a Rhode Islander too, I think. So, so we'll just throw one. I'll throw one true or false question, and then let's get to our next topic, and then let's get to the wrap up. But I'll throw it to you, Gary, first. True or false? Which one is worse from a narrative perspective? Luka balling out, averaging 35 points a game in the finals and losing, or the Celtics winning the championship and Jason Tatum is not the reason and doesn't win Finals MVP? Which one is more from a narrative perspective? Which one do you think is? Yeah, what do you think? Which one is worse or better? Am I making sense with the question?
No, because you said true or false. So
Okay. My fault. Okay, all right. Let me rephrase.
Wait a minute.
Okay, let me rephrase.
All of the above.
Okay. So
the answer is yes.
What is better? Luka going off and not being the reason the Mavs lose, or Boston winning the championship and Tatum continues his poor shooting and doesn't win Finals MVP? Which one is, I guess, which one would you take?
All right, if it's me, I go Jason Tatum having just a pedestrian stat line, because we all know Celtics fans don't give a rat's ass about if you average 2 points, 20 points, or 200 points. It's the 18th banner in the rafters.
There it is.
They're not going to give a damn how much he averaged. They're not going to give a damn if he wins Finals MVP. Let it be Jaylen Brown. Fine. Hell, let it be Derek White.
Let it be Drew Holiday. Let them all split the MVP trophy in pieces.
As long as, for Jason Tatum, for his name, as long as he has a championship, and for Celtics fans, as long as they get to celebrate and have that banner raised in their rafters, they don't care how many points he averages.
Okay. All right. Take me, Ben, your thoughts, and then we'll move on. Then we'll move forward.
This is going to be embarrassing of all aspects if the Mavericks end up losing this. It's because the Celtics in recent years have been here before under former coach Ime Udoka. The Mavericks have not been here since 2011. That's the only gloat and glory that this team has. So it's going to be embarrassing for the fact of the opportunity of being literally the underdog, that, wounded Warriors coming into very tough series, especially the Minnesota Timberwolves one, again, where no one expected them to win that series, to go against a very tough Celtics team, and especially game 2 when you had the opportunity after the adjustments were made, and we saw the adjustments from game 1 versus game 2, and not capitalize on it. It's going to be very, very stinging if the opportunity is right there in their laps. The shooting isn't there. Kyrie does not show up. Luka end up getting hurt, God forbid. And then you have to cast of the island of misfit characters of this team who has to rally around and somehow make it work and not look bad on paper, aka being blown out by 30. Because we all know if Luka goes down, that team is not going to win. You know that. I know that. 100% bottom line. They can prove me wrong, but I said what I said. If he ends up getting hurt and Kyrie has to carry the team and all that, and the supporting cast around him is not performing like they have since the Minnesota Timberwolves series, we're not seeing PJ Washington stand on business. We're not seeing the dunks and the alley-oops from Derek Lively Jr. We're not seeing Goddard doing, boxing out. We're not seeing Maxi Kleber showing up and proving that he can be that effective guy before his injury and prove to us that he is that guy after his injury. None of them show up. It's a wrap.
Facts.
Dare I say sweep?
Hey, a sweep. We'll see. That would be pretty bad. But Ben, your thoughts? Let's get to this NFL topic, and then we will wrap up.
Yeah, I think Tatum, I think just from the media perspective and from him, not being the reason they won, he's still going to get criticism. Yes, they won. They got banner 18, which would put them above the Lakers, right now tied with the Lakers at 17. But I think that if his play just continues the blah, it's still going to be a storyline.
Yeah, and that's a big deal.
You'll still have to answer those questions. Yeah. Absolutely.
We're talking about Tatum we're not talking about Jaylen Brown being a top 10 player. We've always been talking about Jason Tatum being a top 5 player.
First team All-Pro, I think, 3 years in a row.
So for him, he's going to even make more money than Jaylen Brown. So to me, it just doesn't look good. I don't know, but it is what it is. I don't really care for Boston. I'm a Lakers fan. But anyway, let's get to this next one here. I know that we don't have too much time, but let's just we'll make it work. So next topic, Tua, Jordan Love, or Trevor Lawrence. In the next 5 years, you need to win a Super Bowl. You rank 1 through 3. Number 1 is the QB you have the most faith in. Who do you have 1 through 3? And Ben, I know you've been eagerly and waiting to get to this one.
Go ahead, Ben.
We will toss it to you, sir.
Let's go, Ben.
So I tried to think of it also. You guys can take it whatever way you want to, but I thought of it as like unique of their teams. Just you got to pick a quarterback. You don't even know what team it is, what players you have. You just got to pick one out of those 3. That's the way I looked at it. You guys can answer it any way you want. That's all creativity. Everyone's unique. For me personally, I looked at it as I got to start a team. Who do I want? Who do I trust the most? And number 1 would be Trevor Lawrence, just from his physical talent and the fact that even though he played like crap in the first half of that playoff game, you got to get credit for the comeback that he led them on as well. And just for his physical talent, his physical ability, I got to put Lawrence at 1 as far as the most faith. I got Jordan Love at 2, and he showed me a lot. I think he showed a lot of people a lot, and he did that with a very, very, very inexperienced receiving crew. Very, very inexperienced, which makes it even more impressive what he did. And then I got to have 2 at 3, just the injury concerns, and we've seen him in big moments, including in college, not always live up to it. And, I mean, I'm throwing away this playoff game against the Chiefs. I mean, it was like negative 20 degrees. Like, Miami was never winning that game. Like, they can't really count that against him, in my opinion. But he has fallen short in some big games and big moments. So I got to put 2 at 3. That's my list. You're on mute, Jeff.
I agree.
I think Jordan Love is very, very interesting because he didn't play. I feel like he's kind of in the same situation as far as what your Lions were, as far as his second half finish, the way that the Lions finished, right? In 2020, I think it was 2022, they had a second, and then they went and then just absolutely killed it. So can he put it together for a full 16-game season? And that's why I have to have him at like number 2. Then I have Trevor Lawrence, then Tua, just because of the injuries.
I agree with both of y'all. The way that is set up a 1, 2, 3. Jordan Love to me is the one that is going to be interesting in the NFC North with the Lions. He started to peak, and that's such a great comparison that you said, Jeff, of what the Lions were that second half. After Jared Goff and that offense was starting to figure it out, when the defense was starting to figure out with the back end of the games, where Aaron Rodgers' last loss in a Packers uniform, and then people were like somewhat getting excited, but kind of like scaling back, like, okay, I want to get excited about the Lions. Are they going to be the same old Lions as before? And for them, we saw the results going into this last season and what they did and how, their run. And I think Green Bay is starting to get there, and they will show that in the upcoming season. The NFC North is going to be is going to be a conference to watch. I would say 3 out of the 4 teams, because the Bears, I think once they figure out, Caleb Williams and all of that and see how he does. But I know I said on this show that the Detroit Lions were going to run it back and confidently, but who am I kidding myself knowing that what I saw last season from Jordan Love and this Green Bay Packers team, and now now a fire is lit under Justin Jefferson, and they're signing our former QB JJ McCarthy, and then seeing what Sam Darnold. I know a lot of people want to write Sam Darnold off and saying that he's pretty much off to the island of misfit QBs. But Sam Darnold has beaten the Lions on many occasions in a different uniform on a different team. And for some reason, the Lions couldn't get over that hump when we played against them, when I think it was with the Jets or with the Panthers, 1 to 2. So we shall see what, how much of that QB stardom that he has left in the tank. So I think it's going to be a 3-team situation going on there in the NFC North. But I agree with you both about, Lawrence, number 1, Jordan Love, number 2, and Tua, again, he's got to come and just prove that he is that QB before all the crazy injuries and the concussions and all of that happened to him. Now that he's slimmed down, he done grew his hair out now. He got rid of the beard. Now it's a new Tua look. But is the new Tua look going to match a new Tua QB? And is he going to be that guy for the Miami Dolphins?
Okay. And I mean, I think we're all going to be kind of in the same agreement. I think, and we've covered the exact same reasons. I think it boils down to the division. I think, all credit to Houston, and that's why I was kind of like, I'm surprised CJ Stroud wasn't mentioned in this conversation, but
they're loaded.
They
are loaded.
Well, Gary, it was 3 quarterbacks eligible for an extension. That's why.
Got you. Thank you. So, because I'm like, of the if you name those, the answer is CJ Stroud anyway. But of the 3 here, yes, Trevor Lawrence, because the division's going to be either them or Houston. I think they've kind of established that that's going to be the 1-2 battle there. And then you go in order. Yeah, Jordan Love, I think, has shown enough to give me belief that he will at least be a serviceable to good quarterback. And if you give him more weapons, then he can go from good to great.
Agreed.
And then with Tua, they losing what they lost this offseason, I think he's going to take a step back, but not by his own skill set, but by the lack of that around him besides Tyree. Like, I think there's a little bit of a regression to the means with him. And, you say over the next 5 years, though, like you look at Miami, they were primed to be that team for the next 5 years. When you see Buffalo is going to take that step back, the Jets are going all in for the next season or 2, but they're going to take that step back, and New England is still in the process of rebuilding. So this was easily, Tua should be at the top of this list, but I can't act like that.
Ben, before you get to your rants, when we talk about the situations, right? The Trevor Lawrence situation and them not making the playoffs, there was that one game where he got injured, and ever since then, that was kind of like the end of them. But we saw the potential with them in the year before they made the playoffs, upset at the Chargers. So you can see what they have done. I feel like with Miami, until Mike McDaniels is gone and they have a shift in philosophy, Miami's going to continue to be Miami because they're too focused on timing. And like, well, we can't have time, and then I guess we're just not gonna. They don't know how to be able to win games when their timing is off. So I think that Mike McDaniels is not the guy for them. And then you look at Jordan Love, there's still questions just because, again, that division is going to be more competitive, and I really think the Bears are going to be a little bit more competitive. I think the Vikings are going to be a little bit more competitive. These defensive coordinators are super, super talented. We'll see what happens. But Ben, go for your rant, or Ben gets loud, and then I have a small little rant, and then we will conclude, sir. Go ahead.
So the Lakers throwing everything to get Hurley. 6 years. 6 years.
We didn't talk about that.
70 million. That's a lot of money to turn
6
down.
years.
So got to give Hurley a little bit of credit, because if you get fired after 1 year, you're still getting that 70 million. So that's a lot of money to turn down. So a little bit of credit to Hurley on that one. But it's more so about the Lakers. And, 20 years after Coach K said no, famously, now Hurley said no. And I think it speaks to the Lakers' allure isn't the same and hasn't been the same for a long time. And, granted, if you win with the Lakers, you'll forever be remembered, similar to the Celtics. They both have 17 titles as of right now. But I think the Lakers may think of themselves as, more elevated than what these coaching prospects say. Because Coach K, that was a great opportunity to coach Kobe back then, 2004. right now, yeah, LeBron's older, so I get that, but you would have definitely had Anthony Davis for the next 5 years or so, and still in his prime-ish, I would say. But I think the Lakers' opinion of themselves is a lot higher
A little bit too high.
than everyone else's opinion of them. And I just think that it's telling that they literally offered this man, I think, like a $40 million raise.
Mm-hmm.
And he said no. The Lakers' job isn't what they believe it to be. I think it's 8 head coaches since 2011. It's just not. It's not stability. You're not gonna have stability. And I think, like I said, I think the Lakers think of themselves more highly than the public. And yeah, those LA taxes, yeah, for sure. But still, I just find it like I also never really thought Hurley was going to take the job. I don't know about y'all, but I didn't think that he was going to take it. I think he's trying to do that three-peat. I think he was using it as a play for UConn to give him a raise, which they haven't yet, but they probably will. But I just think that it's kind of funny that the Lakers, they aren't what they think they are.
They haven't been what they think they have been since Phil Jackson retired in 2011. 7 coaches later, they still are kind of like freshmen trying to get into a party with fake IDs on college campus.
Facts.
Everyone's seeing the fraudulence and they can smell it far, far away. And no disrespect to Jeannie Buss, but literally, sis, your bus is running over every single coach you thought was going to be the answer. Mm-hmm. And LeBron on X, and I just looked it up, when Dan Hurley turned down the position to go back to UConn, smart man, shout out to Storrs, Connecticut. And he said, maybe it's me, ? Yes, it is. It is you in part, even though that you have said, and we could go into another hour of talking about how his effect has gotten coaches out of a job. But he says it wasn't him.
Thanks. Gary? Get you real quick.
Well, no, I'm like, the Lakers are kind of in the same position or the same boat they were in the post-Coach K, like that Coach K overture. Like, this was Shaq leaving. There were still the issues with Kobe. Like, it's kind of like the history kind of repeating itself, short of anybody actually leaving, but LeBron kind of looming his.
He will be leaving.
He will be, but I'm saying just LeBron looming large over this franchise and them trying to remain relevant and remain a name, especially when little brother's leaving your building to open up a nice new big building in Inglewood that looks so much nicer than Staples Center. No disrespect, but like. Or whatever the hell they call it now.
I drove past it. It's a very nice building.
Right. So
very nice.
They want to remain relevant, but this is it. Like what we don't want to see is, and I have nothing but respect for him as a coach. He's a champion, everything. They went from Coach K to Rudy Tomjanovich 10 years after Rudy Tomjanovich was the most effective. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're the Lakers, is JJ Redick really the answer, or is he just the answer because that's LeBron?
No. He has to be now. Well, he has to be because he went. Look, here's the thing: optics matter. If you're the Lakers, optics matter. There was so much news coming out of LA that JJ Redick was the guy. Look, oh no, let's go for a home run with Hurley. That didn't work out. So whoever they get now, it's going to be kind of scraps. But all I'm going to say is, like, with this situation now, even 20 years ago, you had a Kobe who was still in his prime, right? LeBron James is not in his prime, and you're looking at it, and it's like, when are the Lakers brass going to realize that just being the Lakers isn't good enough, and that you need to start developing players, you need to start having some type of strategy? Like, how do you feel if you're Ty Lue, where they could have had Ty Lue, but they didn't want to give him 4 years on his contract? They only want to give him 3, and thus he goes to the Clippers. But then you give Dan Hurley 6 years, $70 million. So it's just the lack of, I don't know. We'll see.
Side note of that, real quick, what's even comical about the whole situation, gentlemen, is it turned into Woj announcing that, and then Shams trying to save face on the Pat McAfee show because he thought for sure it was going to be JJ Redick. And then Woj drops this whole Hurley could be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So it's like the battle between senior reporters in their respectable realm. I thought that was quite funny seeing them kind of,
no doubt.
Shams throwing shade at Woj, if you will, about the whole entire thing, saying that Hurley was not their first choice and not going to be selected. I'm like, Shams, come on.
And I know that we usually try to keep the show for an hour, but I just have one small thing, and then we can all go to bed. Mike Tomlin, 3-year extension. Can't say it's surprising, but the last time they won a playoff game, Obama was still in office.
Listen.
So we've had 3 presidential elections since Tomlin has won a playoff game. I would have saw maybe 1-year extension, but 3. I'm not saying he's not a great coach, but 17 years, you haven't won a playoff games, and you only have 1 Super Bowl. There needs to be some serious questions that need to be asked. I'm not saying you need to get rid of him, but when is just having a winning record only that's just not good enough for a franchise like the Steelers? We're talking about the Steelers. There's a different
Steelers franchise.
We're talking about a different expectation versus the Jaguars. And everyone's like, oh, but it's just a winning record. I'm like, no, just be San Francisco 49ers. That's not good enough. Dallas Cowboys. That's not good enough. The Steelers. That's not good enough. Okay. Like there are just certain franchises. I'm just saying, Tomlin, I'm rooting for you, but that's all I'm going to say. But your thoughts, Ben, and then anybody else, and we'll conclude.
No, I think that there's a good chance he doesn't make it to 2027. But I agree that it should have been a 1-year or 2-year extension.
Not 3.
We'll see. That's what I'm going.
No, guys, it's the Steeler way.
Yeah, it is.
Think about it.
Which I did.
Three coaches in 55 years. Like this. I know times change, but until Rooney's not leading that team, this is what.
There you go.
So the next coach is, as long as there's a Rooney running that team, is going to have a 10 to 15-year window because this is what they do. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. Those are their coaches. You can't name another one before that because they're like, this is it. That's their list. And they want to do. The Giants tried it. The Giants tried it for years to keep that list of the head coaches real short. And then eventually they fell into the whole, like, listen, what have you done for me lately? Pittsburgh is the one lone holdout left in football. And I don't think that's going to change as long as Rooney owns that team.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tiffany, any thoughts, and then we'll conclude?
I agree with all of that, but I just wanted to add one little tidbit here. Check on your strong Joey Chestnut fans because the Nathan's hot dog eating contest is going to be a little bit different this year. Now that Joey Chestnut has signed with another hot dog branding company that is plant-based. So basically, Joey Chestnut is changing his eating ways to possibly vegan and is barred and banned from competing in the 2024 Nathan's hot dog eating contest to compete again and possibly go for his 17th mustard belt championship of Nathan's hot dogs.
I'm not mad at him.
I'm not mad at him either. He's got to change your ways of eating. Nathan's hot dogs got to catch up with the style. I mean, listen, why can't y'all come out with plant-based hot dogs?
Yeah, exactly. Well, looks like Ben left us, but facts. All right, folks. Tigney, glad to have you back on. It's been great. Do you have any exciting things on your world coming up?
Yeah, so working on right now, doing some small little things, but we're starting to get bigger for the new radio station that has came out. The legend himself, Rob Parker. Those that are familiar with Rob Parker, he was part of Undisputed for a little bit. He's been featured on First Take. Him and the great Chris Broussard, and they're based out of Michigan. That they have a podcast. Chris Broussard is on First Things First on Fox Sports on FSN. And Rob Parker is finally has his baby that he always wanted to have, his own radio station. So it's AM 1270 Detroit. It is on the Odyssey app for those that do not live in Detroit. He has some amazing talent that is there. So I do the What's Poppin' segment that goes into about things that are trending in the sports and what's going on in sports, and I'll be on there 1 to 2 times a week. But your girl's got higher sights and wants to do more. So stay tuned. I'll let y'all know how it is going with this journey. So you never put an age limit on your dreams. You just go for it. So
Facts. And we're definitely looking forward to seeing you do. Gary, I know you're in your master's studies, so definitely send you positive vibes.
Let's go, Gary.
Front, right? So, your children are going to be playing for the Yankees before you know it, and we'll be playing at Yankee Stadium. Like, man, this is great. All right, guys. Much love to you guys. Thanks for everyone who's joining us today. It was a little bit of a longer show, but hey, it is what it is. There's so many good sports topics. Appreciate all of you. I think Ben just went to sleep. I will send him a card to say that we miss him and all that good stuff. But peace and love, guys, and hail Yankees.